Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another upload of It's a Dyer Thing. Rob here. Before we go any further, do make sure that you hit the notification and the subscription. This way you'll always be up to date on everything we do. So, wow, today, October 31st, 2023. What a massive surprise, a big surprise from Yamaha here. I think it took everybody off guard and everybody by surprise in regards to the new launch of the MT09. So let's get a little bit in depth on this and take a look as to the good, bad, and ugly, I guess we can call it. Or anyways, the good, and the better, right? So, in regards to the specs and pricing and everything that I'm going to say here, it has to do with Canada, North America, right? So, I will be referring to the prices and stuff like that. So we are referring to the new MSRP for 2024 of $13,500 plus PDI, freight, and delivery, and any other fees. So that is actually a whopping $1,600 more compared to the 2024. Now, we are talking about the fourth generation here of the MT09. So let's get more in depth of what it's all about. All right, so you know what, before we get into any further on this venture of the new 2024 MT09, I would like to do a big shout out, a big kudos to everybody that was working behind this project that actually kept it secret. So I would have to say this is probably one of the first models I've seen, actually that I have not seen any leaked information or pictures. So you know what, definitely the security behind all of this is definitely getting a lot better. So big kudos to that. So yes, so this is the now fourth generation of the MT09, number 4. It's really cool. Now, for the most part, this hits Netherlands, Europe, Australia, US, Canada, and quite a few other places, where there are still some places like Morocco and Brazil. They are actually still launching as 2024, but the second generation MT09, which has got the double headlights and all that. Anyways, you can go check that out on the internet, on the web. So again, don't get mixed up and don't get confused as to what is the 2024 here for North America. So there are some big changes, big technical changes for the MT09. And first and foremost, I presume that you're watching this video, you've kind of probably seen already some glances, or if you haven't, and let's kind of go through it here. So what I'm going to do first off is let's go through the media gallery. So basically what it is, it's the detailed images of the bike components, and this way you'll kind of get a better idea, better understanding as to what changes. Now, do keep in mind, I will kind of provide you as much specs and details as I can, but I have also been an owner of the 3 previous generations, and I do currently have, or my son currently still has, the 2023 MT09. So without any further ado, let's get into all the details, and I kind of will pick out everything that I can see here, and we can talk about it. And then again, you know what, if you have any questions, hit them in the comments down below, and hopefully this kind of gives you a good understanding as to why there is a $1,600 price difference. All right, so here, let's go ahead and take a look in regards to the mechanical portion of the MT09. For 2024, there hasn't been any changes in regards to the mechanics from 2021 to 23, so 24 continues to be the same. I am sure that they have done some small revisions in regards to the exhaust, just to kind of meet up with even higher standard emissions, but don't quote me on that. Again, one would have to actually physically go into the parts fiche and then compare the part numbers itself. But from my guess, my perspective, I don't think there's too much of a change. But anyways, mechanical wise, still the same thing. There hasn't been any crazy revisions on that, so we're still running the same mapping and whatnot. But there is a lot of change in regards to the frame. So the frame is going to be a different part number. There is some slight changes, but I haven't been able to figure out exactly what yet. I do know that the forks and the triple clamp or the bar risers are actually much lower. So in order to kind of get lower bar risers, you do have to change probably the fork neck or the frame steering neck area. So I think there might be some small revisions there. I do know that there is some rider enhancement or rider position changes. So I would have to say, if anything, let's say a little bit more aggressive up front. So you got your pegs that have kind of come up a little bit higher and then gone towards the back. And then with the lower handlebar risers, kind of changes the position of the rider a little bit more into an aggressive stance compared to the previous models. So the rear sets, if that's what you want to call them, are adjustable. So there is still, same as the 21 to 23, two rider adjustments that you can set. Right now, I think they're probably even from factory set down at the lowest position. So again, depending you as a rider, you can always adjust. Other than that, the flasher mount stays, which were used to be the radiator guards, that has definitely changed. So there's a lot of cosmetic changes into this here. But for the most part, it's going to be more electronics and more tech, right? So we're still running with the full KYB suspension, which is adjustable both front and back to some point. Now, will there be an SP that's going to come out that will allow you to even do more fine tuning of the suspension? I would have to say yes, but that's going to probably come at a later time. Generally, it always happens a couple of days later. So as of right now, the 31st, we do have the standard MT09. But again, still lots to kind of cover over this. As you can see, we finally, or Yamaha has finally gone away with the one-piece seat. Which is really nice, actually. You know what? The two-piece seat is really cool. I think it's going to be a lot easier to kind of access your gear underneath for those who do like to carry a little bit of stuff, other than having to fuddle around with the big one-piece seat. And then again, it allows you to tailor more to the rider comfort if the rider just wants to go with a pillion pad, or if they want to go with a seat cowl. And then you can probably get multiple different kind of seats out there. So you know what, again, if you're looking at a single rider, solo rider, easily to take off the rear foot pegs, put the seat cowl on the back. I think that's going to be a really cool accessory, whether if it's going to be OEM or the aftermarket. Other than that, flashers still look to be like the exact same flashers, which I was never a big fan of. I always found that one little tiny LED inside the flasher just was not bright enough. A lot of times we would be riding around both front flashers and the rear flashers. I found, especially during daylight, you just can't see it, right? So I think they can definitely do a better job at that. But again, they had to meet DOT, so I guess for that part, they're approved. But for real rider aspect, they stick out. They're always very susceptible to being hit and then becoming limp. But other than that, I guess they'll have to do whatever. It gives you options out there anyways to do whatever you want. Other than that, I mean, again, there's a lot of cosmic changes. So the tank and the front headlight. I think this is going to be the biggest controversy right now, is that whole front pod. A lot of people are kind of liking it. A lot of people are kind of hating it. And I think it was the same thing as well for the 21 to 2023. A lot of people said, oh my God, did Yamaha kind of forget to do a headlight assembly and just slap that on last minute? Again, I think this is the kind of the most comments that we're going to be seeing again. Even I really need to see it in person before I can make my personal judgment on that. I think it is kind of compressed, a little bit crushed up against the forks. It does look kind of lost. And you know what, there's the three headlights, the three light system on this, right? So the two bottom ones are pretty cool. I just wish they kind of maybe lifted it up a bit more, pulled it out a little bit further forward towards the bike. Again, it looks like it ran itself into a wall and got crushed like a pug. That square light up at the top, I'm not a big fan of. What I'm looking at this from the perspective is an accessory windshield. Like, I do know that there's some accessory windshields out there and stuff like that already in the works, and we will be looking at a couple of images in a bit. But man, it's just, it really does not leave them much room to play in regards to actually making a very nice windshield, sport shield, touring shield. Yeah, again, I think it was almost like an afterthought, right? So other than that, they do state that they do have the new radial Brembo, what is it, the master cylinder, but the 2020, I thought, oh, maybe it wasn't a Brembo. Yes, it was a Brembo. I was sure. I thought it was a Brembo master cylinder. Anyways, they're saying that that's brand new for 2024, but again, it's still, I can't see the difference in regards to the previous generation, unless because I'm kind of confusing my own MT10 versus my son's MT09. So anyways, they do say that there's the new brake system there. Still running the S20. Instead of going to an S22 tire now, because that's kind of done and phased out and finished, they now went to the new Battle Axe S23. So great rubber again that's included with the bike, which is really, really cool. Yeah. Tank, new tank. The big thing about the tank, actually, let's see if we can kind of move over here. Oh, okay. We'll talk about the tank just a little bit after. For a lot of people, I think they're going to be super stoked about this is regards to the scrolling menu wheel. That is now done. It's finished. It's gone. It's out of here. We are now using a joystick, a whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I would have to say call it like not a D-pad, but almost like a controller joystick. In order to have the rider access the menus. So you can see here there's definitely a lot going on the left side, which is really cool because it kind of leaves your right side for your throttle and brake, which is the more important thing. So you'll definitely have the functions and the menus, which I think are even more tailored for 2024, which is really awesome. And it comes now standard, which is really good, with a factory cruise control. So that's a big plus. It's super nice to have. I don't know if it will have the speed limiter, but it does come with a cruise control. And again, I'm sure Yamaha has already thought about it and have already integrated the wiring and the connection with the settings in regards to having factory accessory style heated grips. So that's definitely changed. We are now talking about quick shifter being a standard equipment, which is really cool because that has been coming since the 2021 models here in North America. Previous generations and that, it was always pulled off of production and then done as a add-on accessory. So now they are factory standard equipment from 21 till 24. What's big difference for the 2024 model is we are now getting into the third generation quick shifter. So let me explain that in regards to how the third generation is that much better compared to any of the previous. They are now more like the Tracer 9 GT Plus and or the MT10s and MT10 SP. This allows the operator to quick shift up and down at any time over a specific speed, of course, right? I think it was 20 miles an hour or something like that. Or 20 kilometers. Again, don't quote me on the exact speed, but you got to be rolling, right? So, but it allows you to quick shift down even while you're on throttle. So the second generation, previous generations for the MT09s, XSRs, and all those models, you actually had to be off the throttle. You had to roll off the throttle, stay off the throttle, and it allowed you to then quick shift down. Now you can actually quick shift down while you're still on throttle to get yourself into that curve, bring that RPM up higher, and then get out of the curve a lot faster. So that's a big plus. That's a fun plus on that. In regards to rider connectivity and the rider view and stuff like that. So again, the MT09 is still very kind of like what I refer to as a floaty bike. When you're sitting on it and you're riding, you really don't see much of the bike. So now they've actually increased the screen size, so it's a lot easier to get a good visual as to what you're looking at. Still with a full color screen. I think it's 5 colors TFT screen. Which is really good, nice and bright during the day, and I'm sure it's got all the brightness settings and stuff like that. easy to read screen, I think. So they've definitely changed it a lot more user or eye friendly. So I think it's in regards to the layout, it's closer now more to like the MT10, whereas the previous MT09, it was kind of still squash and it was pretty hard to see. So there's a big change on that. In regards to the settings, I know that you still had the 3 master settings, and then you still had some 2 customizable settings for your own personal preference, which they refer to as the manual settings. Before I go any further on that, there is one thing here I did notice, which I was kind of like, ooh, I don't like that. It's the mirrors. The mirrors on the 2024 model seem to be more like a Suzuki style, or more like just a generic mirror without a pivoting system. So one would have to actually lift up that little cover there that we're looking at on the mirror on the left side bar here. As you can see, the mirror rod, now most people would put bar end mirrors and whatever like that and not keep the stock mirrors, but for those who do keep the stock mirrors, I'm kind of like, I don't know about that, just due to the fact that it looks like it's basically one single rod that comes down onto the mirror post, and then there's probably just a nut that holds it there in place. So if you do end up whacking it, rather than it pivoting on a spring preload system where it allows you to pivot it back out, I think you're just going to end up knocking it and getting it loose. So that is a bit of a downer for me, but again, until we take that rubber piece off and get a closer look to see exactly how it is, it just looks like you're going to have a little bit more frustration time to get it adjusted to where you want it to be, and hopefully that it stays that way. But on the plus side of things, back to the left controller here, we do have the flashers. Now this is a really smart, intelligent flasher system, which is really cool now, and I'm very happy that they've done it, and I hope we start to see this across multiple platforms. It's the smart flasher system where it actually will turn itself off. So that is very beneficial to quite a few riders out there who do tend to forget their flashers on as we're riding in group rides. I am not going to name any names, John. So, it's really cool. So this works by distance and works by time. So if you do put your flasher on to indicate whether if you're going into a lane change or you're actually changing into a direction, you have multiple different kind of flasher functions, right? You can do just a quick change, like a 3-second interval flash, 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 like what we have in cars, or you can actually go into the indicator, and then if you do tend to forget it after a period of time, it will knock itself off. So that is a huge, big plus. While we're still looking at the dash and tank and all that, you do notice that there's 2 kind of little mesh pieces right above the fuel filler, and I think we have a different picture that will show that. No, those are not speakers, but those are actually what do they call it? They called it the acoustic amplified grills for enhanced intake sound. So just like the MT10, on the MT10, just right above the fuel tank on either side, just after the intake, there's these grill plates, and literally it works. It makes a world of a difference. You get this awesome acoustic sound as the rider when you're on the throttle and stuff like that. So they've basically mimicked that same design, and they've integrated it into the MT09, which is really cool, because even the previous generations MT09, they did have a really nice, you would hear the intake suction as you're rolling on the throttle and stuff like that. So this is definitely going to amplify it. So that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to hear that. I'm looking forward to that. Really nice tank. They've done a huge layout, huge design change on that tank. Really aggressive. It's pretty cool. The only thing, again, as you're seeing here in the image, you know, there's no front end, right? So right after that meter, it's kind of all drops off and disappears. So a bit of a bummer there. Really cool that we've gone with a black handlebar, which is really nice, and I'm hoping that's going to be standard on all bikes and not a silver bar on all bikes and then black on the XSR or the SPs and stuff like that. So if they gone black all across the line, that's a big kudos, a big plus. Really cool, really awesome. And again, they've lowered down the bar risers, so it is giving a little bit more of an aggressive riding stance on that. So let's see next. Okay, so here we go. This is a better picture here of the actual fuel tank filler itself, which is really nice because it does look like we have a plastic protective coating all around the fuel tank. So there's also less likelihood of anybody scratching the paint. I would presume that after that, where we have the MT logo decal, that's probably all metal, and I don't think it's a cover over a regular tank. So that definitely looks like the actual fuel tank. And then we got the cover around the fuel filler portion of it. And then, you know what that means, you could probably easily access the actual intake or the acoustic amplifier sound barriers. If there's a channel that kind of goes into the intake there, definitely be worth taking off and taking a closer look at that. So rider connectivity, I mean, I think we all kind of anticipated that. We all kind of knew that it was getting to that. More bikes, it was the MT07 that first came out with that here in the MT series. Let me get that right. And so, I mean, we all knew that, you know, a bigger screen was going to come. We all kind of knew that, you know, rider connectivity, that's going to come as well. So this allows a lot of easy, from your mobile device, changing of your settings and your functions rather than having to go through the actual menu settings on the controller bar. But I mean, each to their own. If people like to do on their phone and feel that they're more connected to the bike by doing it, that's cool. What is a good thing is, and I'm hoping this has it, and I haven't really read much about it yet, is the, you know, will you have directional, you know, direction indications, you know, so mapping and stuff like that. So you set your mapping as to where you want to go on your phone, and then you can put that in your pocket and then kind of concentrate more on the road. And then on your dash itself, you know, it's going to tell you turn left in 500 meters, whatever like that. And or, you know, if you are running with a Bluetooth headset or connected to your mobile device, you'll probably get some kind of indication on your dash as to saying, you know, your buddy is at the gas station and he's waiting for you. Where are you? So he's giving you a call, and you'll kind of get the notification on that saying Jimmy Bob is calling you, right? So there is definitely a rider connectivity that's now coming, and it seems to be standard on all the models. So that's pretty cool. You'll take a look here on the right hand side. Again, there's the mode button. Again, that I would have to say is probably getting into the quick access mode, throttle modes, traction control modes. You still have the lift. You still have the 6-axis IMU. So it gives you all the fancy bells and whistles in regards to keeping the bike on the road and the rubber slide down. I did notice that the starter is again changed. So we went from a first generation where it was a single rocker button to a slider button, and then back to a double rocker button, and now it seems to be again the same thing as a kill switch off and then a press down to start. So that's now the third gen starter button that I've seen on the 4th generation MT09. So again, those flashers, like you can see here, it's that single rod. So, you know, some can take it, some may not. It's completely a personal preference. I'm not a big fan of this if it has no allowance to pivot on a pressure point. So we'll definitely see, like I said, once I get my hands on that. So there's that third light. So that you know, I would have to say is probably the actual main light. The bottom lights are probably the LED kind of like marker lights, which is what we had on the previous 2 generation MT09s. They were just finer strips. Now it's gone to a little bit thicker strip, and then we got the main bulb at the top, and then beside it, so it's a light side by side bulb light, and you could see it on previous pictures there. Where it looks like they're 2 projected style bulbs or projected style lens. So one's going to definitely be the low beam and the other one's going to be the high beam. You know what, again, until we see it in person, it's going to be a tough call to see exactly what goes on. But you can see there's just really very little room in regards to being able to fit a mounting bracket and then putting a windshield on. And will that windshield now interfere with the light at the top? You know, so it's going to be quite interesting on that. So for the most part, I think the bike is a big hit. There's some really nice features. Again, it's all about the tech. So, you know, is it worth a $1,600 price increase here in Canada for that tech? Again, probably until you sit on it, is then you'll actually know what it is. Now, mind you, again, there's nothing wrong with the 21 to 23 bikes that are absolutely awesome. And I think now with that higher price point, the used market might be even more, a little bit more aggressive, and might kind of intrigue to a lot more people out there. So, you know, here in Canada, a $13,500 bike after PDI freight, licensing fees, and getting it out the door, taxes and all, for a customer, Canadian consumer, you're almost looking at $16,200. Again, that's if we keep it all at an MSRP and don't do any markups from a dealer side of point, and I hope they don't. But you know what, $1,600, man, that's starting to become a pretty pricey bike out there, and it might kind of steer the customers out to looking at their options from other brands, other models. So it's going to be a tough one. Hopefully there will be some kind of promo, some kind of support, some kind of rebates out there from OEMs, but we'll see what happens. So again, here's another quick look at the dash. This again is your speedo, fairly simple readout, very simple readout actually, right? So you got your speed, your direction, and then who's calling, and so on and so forth, right? So pretty cool. Again, yeah, you know what, the dash is, it's a 5-inch screen if I recall properly. Yeah, it's a lot of dash, very little screen, but again, that's just due to the fact that we have all the warning lights on the side. So eventually I think that will get better as we move along. I think they can kind of shorten or reduce the amount of bezel size to allow a little bit more screen size. I think that will definitely tailor to a customer, and I think we'll probably be a lot more happy. So now we're going to get into some of the lifestyle shots here. So these are just basically the pictures. You guys can kind of go through that. You can go to the Yamaha-motor.ca website, or you can go to the Yamaha US website, and you can kind of take a look through all those things. But for the most part, I think the bike is pretty cool. Minimize that. Bye-bye. Get out of there. Thank you. So again, that front end, man, it just kind of looks a little bit squished. That's the only thing, but I think we all said that as well for the 2021 to 2023 model, and then once we kind of got around it, I think we all kind of got used to it. So we'll have to see what happens with this. But a windshield. So I went over to Netherlands, and I checked out their consumer website here, and this is what we're looking at right now. And as you can see, we do have the two still optional windshields, I guess you want to call it. Then there's also the not bar ends, but the knuckle protectors or hand deflectors, whatever you would like to call it. So I don't know if that would be eliminating the actual bar end weights, or are these bar end base also weighted in regards to kind of reducing the amount of vibration. I'd like to think so anyways, that there's something out there that these are either attached to a bar end that's already threaded out. So basically you're just kind of going ever so slightly wider, but then still keeping the bar end weight for vibration reduction. And then you got the protectors itself. So though, I mean, they're really nice to help cut the wind and stuff like that. We do have the fly screen. So like any of the other models that we've had previously in the past, there was always a little shorty fly screen. So as you can see, the 4 bolts that are there, the 4 mounting holes, let's see if we can kind of get to another picture here. Oh, we're just going to this one here. There's these 4 mounting holes here. So looking at that, right where those holes are versus that, it definitely looks like you're going to be looking at the top of the dash. And that's one thing I did notice about the dash assembly and stuff like that, is it's very square. Everything is very square, so it'll definitely be sticking out. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we got a better look somewhere here. Maybe, I don't know how close we can get onto that one. No, all right, so we can't really get that close. So anyways, let's see if we go into this. Do we have a front view? Geez, no front view. What the heck? What the heck? I guess they don't want us to tease it. So right. here we go. Let's do that. All right, so there's the 4 bolts here. They're just kind of like, it's hard to see because they are on a horizontal view. But anyway, so those guys are going to go there. Now, I would have to say, in order to put this, you got to put this, or in order to put this or this, you got to put this. So this definitely mounts up onto the front here. So maybe that will fill it up, and then the little fly screen will kind of go over there. But the size of that fly screen versus where this goes versus how that is installed, I would have to say those mount up onto the side there. If you're looking at these bolt holes here, they probably mount up onto the side, and then the other piece probably goes up onto the top. So alignment of that is there, plus this. It almost looks like the fly screen is going to be kind of pushed out from the front of the headlight area. And it's the same thing with this. Like, you can see the angle of this windshield here. This is probably going to almost be in almost a perfectly horizontal position. And this guy is going to probably come up, and that's going to cover up. So it's going to probably come up, and then it's going to come up and cover over your dash, but probably not by much. So it will definitely be interesting to see what comes of that. But other than that, that's the only accessories that they got out right now. So these 6 main accessories here, and then there's kind of, I don't know if there's going to be that much, which will be if there would be that much that's carry forward over from the previous generations, right? So there is, like I said, some lot of changes. So the seats and stuff like that is going to change. That whole back end, that whole tail light assembly has changed again. So that's going to definitely change the way rear racks and luggage works. The tank itself is stretched and all that, so that's definitely some difference. Handlebars and the riser are different, but here you go. So if we look at it on the side, that windshield assembly is going to be a little bit different, but again, we got to see it in person to get a full perspective of it. So other than that, super excited again. It was pretty cool that it was quite hush-hush until actual launch date today. So again, kudos to Yamaha as a whole, as a company, for keeping that really quiet, because I was watching on a daily basis and checking Google Images and spy videos and stuff like that, and spy shots, pictures, did not see anything. So really, I mean, that was a fantastic planning and keeping everything closed-lipped, right? So I think there's a couple more products out there that are going to come soon, so it'll be super exciting to see. Again, will they be coming out with the SP model on this? I hopefully would like to think so. And then other than that, then get to see kind of the accessories. So for now, the only colors that we do have are the blue. Again, same thing as last year, and the Cayenne gray. Now just this year they've actually lost the little red or the high-vis orangey patch color, right? So that was from 21 to 23. They had the Cayenne gray and that I don't know what you want to call it, those fluorescent-y colored wheels, and then that highlighted orangey color, right? So and then the all black model, right? So other than that, there hasn't been any changes in regards to the color scheme for 2024. But there is some things here and there that have changed. But mapping, mechanical, engine-wise, still the same fantastic engine, CP3. So no change on that. So some fine refinements. Is it worth $1,600 more? I don't know. You guys be the judge of that. But anyways, lots of exciting news. We'll be able to see it physically in person, hopefully here in February, once we have our Toronto Motorcycle Show, which I will be there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That doesn't happen again until February 2024. So until then, do shout out below. Do send your comments, any feedback. Looking forward to hearing from you. And once I get some more hands-on, I'll definitely do a secondary video, or kind of like a follow-up video on that. So until next time, y'all be good, be safe, have fun, take care. Don't forget, keep it covered.